you recently started a new company and just kind of came out of stealth, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show. Do you want to talk a little bit about what y'all are doing at Positron and maybe also some of your recent announcements?
Yeah. So back April of 2023, started a new company, Positron AI, um, developing new hardware for accelerating uh, machine learning models in the general sense, but like 95% of our focus is on transformers and specifically like the large language model and large multimodal network types. And so we haven't announced too much. We did exhibit at the NeurIPS conference last month and sort of had a soft launch. But we're going to be making some more like real product and shipping product announcements this spring. But at a high level, we're what we did show at working demo of our PCIe card based accelerators, having about 5x performance per dollar advantage over NVIDIA H100 for Llama inference. So
Mm-hmm.
and some of the upcoming announcements are going to be significantly greater than that for some of the newer exciting model types that are out there. So yeah, our core belief is that what are considered large language models today are going to be puny in the not
Right.
so distant future, and we're making a very strong bet on having very large amounts of memory capacity and having the right balance of memory bandwidth to compute. And like the core thesis of why we started Positron was that the sort of first generation of AI accelerator chips that all the companies that were founded basically 2016 17 till 2020 at least, and even a number after that, really based their designs on the ratio of compute to memory that existed for convolutional neural networks and other neural
Mm-hmm.
network architectures, where you could throw as many flops as you want, and it improves your actual realized performance. And fundamentally, what's different with transformer models, especially on the inference side, if you want to have good throughput and latency for that model, it's a vastly different ratio required for memory bandwidth and memory capacity. And so, we're targeting, like with this first generation product, having an order of magnitude greater memory capacity than what is possible on NVIDIA GPUs, be it today or in their upcoming product releases, and having a much higher ratio of memory bandwidth to the actual flops.
Mm-hmm. Is the what does the compute or the software integration look like for a processor that's specifically focused on accelerating inference? Obviously, NVIDIA has CUDA. There's a couple other. I think it's AMD that has Rock. There's a couple different models there. Does y'all's architecture fit into some of those software stacks, or are y'all developing your own?
So the big thing, and what got a lot of interest and people looking at us very differently from, I would say, all of the other people trying to compete with NVIDIA,
Right.
is the fact that our software strategy is actually we don't have a compiler, or there's no compiler that any user of our stuff would ever know about or care. And so, really, how this first generation product is the operating model for users is we have we ingest directly the trained model file for these transformer models. So,
Mm-hmm.
.pt is the PyTorch output file that when you do training, primarily on NVIDIA GPUs, that's the output. You can there's safe tensors and a couple other formats, but taking that trained model file, that is directly what we ingest and put on the device. And so there is no porting. There's no There, you know, the story that AMD and Intel and many others have tried to tell, and to varying levels of success of actually being able to do anything close to it in reality, is that them
Right.
saying, "Oh, well, we support PyTorch, or we support TensorFlow, or we have a process where you can go through 16 steps to convert your PyTorch model to Onyx," and oh, well, actually, we don't have that offset support, and Onyx is always 6 to 12 months out of date on new features, being supported, or they just decide that they're never going to support that particular op. Rather than dealing with all of that, that has been the bane of the existence of anyone trying to move off of NVIDIA. We're actually being able to take directly your config.json for your Hugging Face Transformers compatible model, and take that model file and directly load that onto the device, so that there's zero compatibility. Our compatibility process is, well, if you trained it on presumably in NVIDIA, really, if you trained it on anything,
Right.
and that it's a model architecture supported by Hugging Face Transformers, we're able to ingest that directly.
Wow, that's definitely a huge benefit there. Was the I could also imagine not only is that really nice from an integration perspective, but if you are a startup, a smaller company, removing the need to build all of that software support is also nice from an organizational perspective.
Yeah, yeah, it's drastically simpler for the customer users, which is the number one thing. But anything that can also make our lives easier, and we're very clear in our stated mission and goals that if you're using some 3D UNet piece. Yeah, technically our hardware can support it. Yeah, technically we could, and actually in one case, like, we've gotten a very simple version of that running and going through this. But at least in the foreseeable future, we're not going to be offering that to customers as an option. We want this to be the simplest process for us to be able to get a product out to market, and people actually having a viable alternative to NVIDIA. And I'm knocking on wood a little bit. We're approaching 1 year from the company being founded, but it was our goal from the beginning that we would actually have real product in customers' hands a year from delivery, and it's looking like we're going to hit that. So yeah, it's another key lesson from Rex and other experiences that I've had since then is identifying what is it that the customer is actually craving for. What is the real pain point and desire that they're making their decision on,
Mm-hmm.
and just narrowly focusing on that, and keeping your hand on the pulse of the customer throughout the entire development process. The Be it myself with Rex, and I think the failure point for a lot of companies, be it new processors or otherwise, I think probably one of the main reasons companies fail is that they're too focused internally building uh, building something that they themselves want, rather
Mm-hmm.
than really deeply understanding and being obsessed with making something that the customer wants. And if even, like, there is a line, and you have to use a lot of judgment and the process to it, but um, you know the customer is not always right, but they're usually more right than you are in
Right.
making decisions of what is going to cause them to part with their hard-earned dollars for your thing. So you obviously don't want to just build a faster horse when you could have made a car, but you know there's a balance which I'm still trying to find, and I think all entrepreneurs need to work on that. But it's definitely a really hard problem to, and an exciting one. It's the fundamentals of how do you actually build a successful business.